Just as expected, this evening the Azimio minority has penned a letter rejecting two of President William Ruto's cabinet nominees, namely Honorable Aisha Jumwa and Honorable Mithika Linturi. Now let me just read you in brief the letter that has been released from the minority side. And I quote, "Pursuant to Standing Order number 199, Clause 5 and 6, the following members of the committee recorded a minority opinion against the approval of the nomination of Honorable Aisha Jumwa Karisa Katana for appointment as Cabinet Secretary for Public Service, and Honorable Mithika Linturi for appointment as Cabinet Secretary for Agriculture and Livestock Development." Now, the 8 members of Parliament who signed on to this letter is Honorable Opio Wandai, Honorable Robert Mbui, Honorable Junet Mohammed, Honorable David Posing, Honorable Naisula Lesuda, Honorable Mishi Mboko, Abdi Shurie, and Honorable Caleb Amisi. Now, in summary, the reason they're rejecting Aisha Jumwa, I'm looking at page 183. The highlight there is a pending murder case. And I'll read it in brief. The members observed that the committee interrogated the nominee over the charge of murdering a Mr. Ngumbao in 2019 during campaigns in the Ganda ward by-election, where she is accused jointly with her aide Geoffrey Okuto. The members further observed that at least 3 witnesses have testified against the nominee and noted that in response, the nominee did 4 things. Number 1, she argued she shot no one. Number 2, she does not know how to handle a gun, nor does she own one. Number 3, she asked to be turned into a prosecution witness upon the review of the case by the DPP. And lastly, she asserted that she is seeking an out-of-court settlement with the family over the matter. Now, on the side of Mithika Linturi, there are 2 cases that are standing out, or rather they have been highlighted. They're actually in bold. The first is the attempted rape case of 30th of January 2021. They claim it's very grave and it demeans the office to which Honorable Linturi has been nominated, notwithstanding a subsequent move to have them dropped. And the second, they are highlighting forgery in securing 2 loan facilities, the first being a 530 million loan and the second being a 100 million Kenya shilling loan. Now, in that document, I couldn't read you the entirety of the document because it's quite large, as you can imagine, but I have seen a statement in that particular document that breaks all precedent. How can one say that the presumption of innocence until one is proven guilty cannot be applicable to persons seeking to occupy high offices such as cabinet secretary, when in fact the very presumption of innocence applies to everybody, whether the person in question is Mithika Linturi or Raila Odinga. Now, in this video, I want us to dig deep and unearth why Azimio rejected the 2 nominees and what that rejection ultimately means moving forward. But before we get into that, if you're here for the first time, please go on and hit the subscribe button. And if you're watching from a different platform, just head on over to YouTube, search for David Wafula. I'll be the first one to pop up. Hit the subscribe button and you're going to be getting a ton of content of this nature. If politics is something you're passionate about, this is definitely the one channel that you really need to subscribe to. Now, the first reason why Azimio had penned a letter rejecting the 2 nominees is so that they can soften the ground for future attacks. Having vetted all cabinet nominees, Azimio has settled on Aisha Jumwa and Mithika Linturi, and not just by mere coincidence. They have seen a chink in their armor. They know that Aisha Jumwa has a murder case, and they also know that Mithika Linturi has a backlog of cases. He has 35 pending cases. And on top of that, in all honesty, Mithika Linturi doesn't seem to be too sure and too confident with himself when he was answering the panel. And that is why they have decided to go for those who they are assuming are the weak links in Ruto's cabinet. And Honorable Mithika Linturi especially needs to walk a very thin line over the next 5 years. Because that very position of Ministry of Agriculture is what was used to bring down his boss, President William Ruto, not too long ago during the Mwai Kibaki administration. So he needs to be very wary. They already lied to Kenyans that President William Ruto's administration was selling free Russian fertilizer to Kenyans. And they were doing so under the guise of subsidy, when that in fact was not the truth. But nonetheless, that did not stop them from proliferating the magnanimous lie. So I expect more will be coming, but on our end we'll continue to stay vigilant so that we can bring more light to such bogus allegations. Now, for Aisha Jumwa, she has an ongoing case in court, but she has already stated that the matter is being settled outside of court. But yet, the conniving Azimio vetting panel refused to take that into account. And if that is not the case, then I think it's high time that Babu Owino should be removed from the position of Secretary of Science and Technology, which he was appointed to by ODM. And the reason I say this is because he also settled his case whereby he shot DJ Volve outside of court. And then he has been permitted to go on and serve. So I think they should stop the double standard. If Babu Owino can settle a case outside of court and continue serving, then Aisha Jumwa can also settle her case outside of court and continue serving. Now, what does that dissenting opinion mean for the nominees? Here's what it means. It means nothing. Kenya Kwanza have the majority in parliament and they will proceed to approve them anyway. My only fear is that they are laying the groundwork to bring down Ruto's government with bogus scandals through the Ministry of Agriculture. Because ultimately, that is the best way to arouse anger in Kenyans. Seeing as it is a docket that affects everybody. Everyone is buying a packet of unga, whether you like ugali or not, sooner or later you're going to buy that packet of unga. And if there's a scandal tied around it, true or false, you'll catch wind of it. So I think Honorable Mithika Linturi will be appointed anyway, but he needs to be very careful. That is a docket that even I would think twice before ascending to, because it's not for the faint-hearted. They did the very same thing to President William Ruto just so that they can get rid of him. And they did get rid of him. The same person who appointed him, Raila Odinga, is the same person who removed him. He signed his marching orders. But that's just my opinion, guys. I'd really love to hear what you have to say, so please drop me your sentiments in the comment section below. And also, if you're here for the first time, please go on and hit the subscribe button. And if you're watching from a different platform, just head on over to YouTube, search for David Wafula. I'll be the first one to pop up. Hit the subscribe button and you're going to be getting a ton of content of this nature. If politics is something you're passionate about, this is definitely the one channel that you really need to subscribe to. Alright guys, adios.